Hi YouTube. You are watching Jinka Jabo, and my name is Justin. I'm your host. And today I wanted to talk about my favorite kind of music. And my favorite music is jazz music. And it's been interesting going through just thinking about my history with this music and how much I've learned and how it's changed me, but then also its origin in my life. Especially as an American who has lived in many countries. There isn't much of America that I always have to drag with me, in the sense that the same restaurants are basically everywhere. You can find American food anywhere. At least to the places I've been. I haven't been everywhere. And American cinema. Even if you don't have a movie theater to go to, you can still watch American movies. And everywhere, you know, people... I meet a lot of people who are very open with their criticisms of America. And I accept that, but you know, there are many flaws in any country that you go to, with just plain reality. I totally crashed the bus there. We'll cut that. Can I do that? How hard is it to edit these videos? I might just publish this one and then learn how to do it later, which is kind of a shit thing to do. But people do that. YouTubers. I'm the boss. I am CEO and president of the Jinka Jabo channel. I need to get on track here. So anyway, the one thing about America that I always stick up for, and that I miss, and that I think about, and that I talk about a lot, and what sets me apart from many people, because there's only a niche of us. I meet other jazz fanatics, and there's usually a few Americans everywhere you go, but it's not like the rock scene or the hip-hop scene or anything like that, anywhere that I've been. It's kind of archaic, and a lot of people find it dull. But I think it challenges the brain, and it's become more and more appealing the more that I listen to it, because there's always more to discover. Just like a really good book that you like, you know, you can go back and see something new every time. I'd like rock and roll, don't get me wrong. And I like the really famous, really good rock bands like the Beatles and the Grateful Dead, you know. And I think, wow, their music is really good, and you can listen to it a lot. But you always know exactly, I mean, you reach a point where you just know what the chords are going to be, what they're going to say. And with jazz, there's some people pick up on all those little nuanced things right away, but it's a lot more difficult to do that, I think. Like, I listened to Kind of Blue maybe, gosh, 5 or 6 times before I heard this this tempo change, and I had to have it on really loud speakers. It's something the drummer was doing. I don't have my notes. I should have looked this up, but it was something the drummer was doing in All Blues, that track off Kind of Blue. And it was like seeing it again for the first time. And with jazz, there's no limit to those experiences. And in jazz, just like a lot of the great rock bands are said to be, well, you have to see them live, you know, like with jazz, it's all live, you know. Even the recording has kind of a live element to it, because jazz musicians, as a rule, do not repeat themselves. You know, they repeat melodies, they repeat structures and chords, of course, but like they don't repeat their own solos or melodies. Like it's always organic, and it's always beautiful, and so there's always stuff to hear. And even going back, jazz albums that I've been listening to for 10 years, more than 10 years now, 15 years, I'm quite old, you know. 15 years maybe. I still go back and I hear new things. It's really neat. So anyway, that's just my little lecture about jazz. And like I said in my last episode, jazz is the only interest I really think I ever came to on my own. I think in my life, from travel or the countries that I've been to, or the languages or the things that I've studied, or the movies that I've liked, or the songs that I liked, it was always stuff that was brought to me, like, hey, you might like this. But with jazz, it was the only thing that I just discovered on my own. And I was 19 years old, and I remember I lived in a very nice house at the time. I was a college student. I had a big room, and I had a radio, and I just had it on to NPR one day, and they were talking about the anniversary of this re-release of A Love Supreme by Coltrane. And they played a clip of it, maybe like just a few seconds off the album. They were talking about how great it was, and I was like, I really don't get it. I really don't get it. But the way they were talking about it, and the way they were talking about just the story behind it, how Coltrane was, you know, he didn't have a very easy life, and he knew a lot of troubles, and it was faith in God that saved him. And this was his magnum opus, this 30-minute album, or I don't know, I forget exactly. It's roughly 30 minutes, depending on what recording of it you have, or what issue or whatever. But okay, so it was A Love Supreme, and he wrote it as like praise for God for liberating him from his, heroin addiction, and praise to God for helping him find true love, and praise to God for letting him create something as beautiful as what I consider the best music of all, jazz, right? So of course I didn't understand it, and so I checked it out from the library, and I thought, oh, it's only 30 minutes, how bad can it be? And I listened to it over the break, and I was just kind of puzzled, and I thought it was pretty cool, but I couldn't quite understand. It just didn't totally register for me. But I thought, well, it was enough to push me more into jazz. I thought, well, what is this music like? How do I better understand what he's doing to really hear it? Because how long is this? Okay, because even even as I was kind of able to enjoy it and at least appreciate the story behind it, I still felt a little bit excluded. And I thought, well, what is the best jazz album? And suddenly it wasn't like any other genre. I think it was like pretty much universal agreement that the best jazz album is Miles Davis' Kind of Blue. And so I took it home, and it was like a late winter night, very cold in Wisconsin, and I listened to it, and a couple songs in, I started feeling it, I started moving, it started to kind of gel for me. I'm thinking, okay, this is, it just made me hungry. It made me hungry for more. It made me want to know what was going on. it made me look closer. You know, it got me going to live jazz like twice a week. Minneapolis area, you know. I had to see it, I had to know. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, I remember the specific moment, the moment it clicked for me and I realized that this was the best music. It was as I was listening to the third track, Blue and Green. But anyway, that's one of the, I learned a little bit of the solo a long time ago. So I thought I would close just by playing that on the flute, which I'm much better at than the trumpet. I'm sorry I had to subject you to all that. But more for me than for you, really. I wanted to, I need to see how I sound before I, anyway. Before I start playing, just remember, keep learning, keep discovering, keep finding things. Just keep looking, because you never know. It's like falling in love. Or moving to a new city. You know, there's this sense of wonder around every corner I've found. And an interest can be like that. An interest can suddenly change the way everything looks. And it can give you strength, and it can give you faith. And it can just, it can set you apart, you know? But anyway, please like and subscribe and keep it easy. This has been Jinka Jabo. No, this has been the Jinka Jabo channel.